we are on live.
All right, looks like we're online. So good morning, everybody. It is Tuesday, August 11th for a regular board meeting. And I'd like to call us to order. We have all three commissioners on board telephonically. We have Keith Johnson in the audit office and Karen running the books. So if you join me for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag
of the
United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. As people looking at the agenda, our first item is public comment, and the phone number is on the screen for sure, and don't necessarily wait for public comment. Go ahead and call in when you have a chance, and we'll try to take them as rapidly as we can. So speaking that, Keith, anything on the line yet?
No, we have no public comment callers on as of yet.
Okay, well, we'll move on to the update on .09 funding then. And like I say, the phone will take as rapid as we can whenever it comes in.
Hey, Mr. Chairman, Gary Ballou from the Port of Pasco will kind of lead this discussion. There will be some other callers from various entities that are either online or available to answer questions, but I want to introduce Gary Ballou as the primary presenter for the .09 funding.
Morning, Gary.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, so I'm here this morning to talk about the .09 funds. As the economic development person with Port of Pasco, I assist Franklin County in getting the word out on that program. The .09 funds are county funds that are utilized for an economic development purpose. We put a call out. Eligible entities for those funds are Franklin County, the cities, so City of Pasco, Connell, Mesa, and Clovis, and also the Port of Pasco, as well as your Associate Development Organization, or ADO, which is TRIDEC. Can all apply for those funds. The Franklin County utilizes a committee to review those applications. That committee met several weeks ago and we invite representatives from each one of those partner organizations, but showing up at this meeting were the Mayor of City of Connell, Port of Pasco, Randy Hayden from the Port of Pasco, Dave Zabel from the City of Pasco, Keith from Franklin County, and I think it might be, and Carl Dye, who's our new Carl at TRIDEC, showed up and reviewed the applications that we received. First, we looked at the funds available in the .09 funds. Per direction of the Economic Development Plan, we keep a reserve in that fund of at least 1 year's bond payment, as well as money that we set aside as an opportunity fund, so that if we have a big win coming into the county where we need some help or some assistance to make that one happen, we have $1 million that can be utilized towards that. So we reviewed that and reviewed the applications, and there was sufficient funding in the .09 funds to fund all the applications and maintain those reserves. So that is the recommendations of the board, and I'll just run through the applications real quick and then open up to commission questions. We do have, I think, representatives of each one of these agencies, and I believe the mayor from MESA is on the line as well. So City of MESA, $36,000 towards their water system. City of Pasco, $500,000 towards their processed water reuse facility, which is that industrial wastewater facility that a number of our large food processors are hooked up to. And so that is an upgrade to that system, or the design of the upgrade for that system. Tridec, $18,000 towards their lead recruitment. They have some software that helps identify leads, and then the staff follows up with this, and so that is sort of staff time to do that. Port of Pasco, we have both the master planning of the Ryman Industrial Center, which is currently in the county, though half of it may be going into the city's urban growth area. So $50,000 for the master planning effort and $300,000 for entryway design. And the intent of that is to get the bid-ready documents so that we're shovel-ready, just in case there is some stimulus dollars or something similar, looking for shovel-ready, ready-to-go projects. We will be ready to go. And so with that brief summary, open up any questions, and I believe again, there may be some comments from others on the line.
Questions, commissioners?
Well, good morning, Gary. Brad Peck. Thanks for the summary. I read all the read-aheads, as I'm sure my fellow commissioners did, and your summary was excellent. The only thing that struck me in any of these was the water project up in MESA, and I support it in part because it's a small enough dollar amount that it really wouldn't be a good candidate for a community development block grant. But just a note for our friends in MESA that if in the future they're looking for larger dollars for more substantial underground infrastructure improvements, we did a similar thing through the block grant program with Basin City. And so I don't have any issue with the current request. I think it's small enough, and even though some have suggested that the Tide Economic Development is a little thin, I think it's more than adequate. Other than that, I think the others are pretty self-explanatory. But again, if MESA needs additional monies for major infrastructure on the water, I hope they'll get in touch with us and we can look at something bigger in the way of a development block grant. Really, that was all I had. Good summary, and I'm really appreciating the board's leadership in getting all the various players at the table and figuring out how we put these dollars into use instead of sitting in an account somewhere. So thanks.
Yep, happy to help. And certainly if the mayor is on the line, I can take those words, and if the mayor is not on the line, I will make sure to get those comments to MESA.
Yeah, and again, just to be real clear, no issue with these funds and what they're doing. Just if they've got water issue problems and they need a bigger project, we need to work with them on a block grant. Thanks.
Gary, also, I enjoyed your summary. I did also read all the read-aheads and fully support what your committee has brought forward. So thanks for your legwork.
You're welcome, Commissioner.
Anything else?
Commissioner Cook, maybe I could just offer one bit of background information that might be helpful to the board, more for your reference than anything. Over the years that we've had the .09 funds available, we have typically allocated about $100,000 per year to the HAPO Center for some significant improvements there. You might recall that in 2016, we asked for a kind of more of a lump sum for a 5-year allocation in 1 year. And so the board approved at that time a $500,000 amount to go to the HAPO Center. Rather than spread that over 5 years, we had some significant flooring issues that we were trying to address, as well as some other necessary improvements. And so we allocated that in one lump sum. Our projections over the next few years still would include the HAPL Center as a primary economic development tool for Franklin County. And the board did not receive an application this year for new funds because this is the last year of our $500,000 application. But because of the health of this fund and the revenues that have been coming in, the board or the committee, the review committee, briefly discussed the possibility of perhaps later in this year seeking funding for another major improvement at the HAPL Center. As you'll all recall, the paving, concrete that was put into the arena flooring improved our quality of events that we can host there, but we also recognize that with a greater demand for that arena, we don't have air conditioning in that facility. And so in the summertime when it's 80, 90 degrees outside, it can be 10 or 15 degrees warmer inside the arena. And so it makes it very difficult to use it in the months of July and August. And we've had, for example, some inquiries from school districts in the region that would like to use that for some of their teacher training. Now, recognizing that this is a very unusual year because of the COVID problem and schools going back in-person meetings, this is a bit unusual. But looking forward, we may want to make a request to the .09 committee for additional funding from this source of funds to make some significant capital improvements to make the HAPL Center an even better quality facility for attracting larger events. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention for information. It's not necessarily pertinent to today's decision about supporting these requests, but wanted you to be aware that we have not forgotten the HAPL Center nor its need for continual upgrades, and just wanted to make sure you're aware of that. So thank you.
Thank you, Keith. That's, I think, an excellent go forward for that arena and for its usage. So anything else on the .09?
Yeah, this is Randy here at the Port of Pasco. If I could just take a minute.
Yes,
really just wanted to thank the county so much for their foresight in the Ryman Industrial Center and zoning that land industrial in the county. Although we are at the point of now needing to get infrastructure up to that piece of property that the port bought, the two circles there, it's really advanced our efforts to have that already zoned industrial in the county as we work with the city to get the UGA expanded. So again, just appreciation to the county's foresight in getting that very well-situated land zoned industrial and allowing us to move forward with that. We've already had some very serious inquiries about some major industry locating in that Ryman Industrial Center, and really the only thing that's preventing us now is just getting the infrastructure up there that we need. So the .09 funds will really help us fast forward that progress and hopefully get some new large industries into our county. Thank you.
Thank you, Randy. Any other comments? If not, I would entertain a motion for resolution 2020-163.
Mr. Chairman, it's Commissioner Peck. Pleased to move for approval of resolution 2020-163 as presented.
I second.
Okay, no further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Thanks, everybody, for your input and work on this. Our next item on the agenda, unless we have a phone call.
Actually, Mr. Chairman, we do have one caller on the line.
Okay, let's take that, please.
Good morning. Is this Ms. Hatch?
Yes,
How are you today?
good.
Good.
So I have some questions. I know you guys can't answer, but maybe you will anyhow. I was just wondering, I guess I was misunderstanding, or maybe not. Did you just give all that CARES Act money to government and to government projects? Is any small businesses going to be able to have an opportunity to apply for that? And if so, are you guys going to be emailing those small business owners in Franklin County, giving them specific instructions on how to apply for those dollars? And also, I know what we brought up at one point was selling the HAPO Center, or the track, or whatever we're calling it. I highly recommend that we do that, because those are tax dollars that we could collect instead of constantly going out the door. And anyhow, so I'm just putting my 2 bits on that, and I understand that there may be some more money going to the health department for PR, and I just really feel that PR, public relations, if you guys want good public relations, just be open and to the public, and go out and meet the business owners that are suffering, the people that have lost their jobs and lost everything. And that's my thought. Thank you.
Thank you. I do have another caller coming on the line.
Okay,
Hi, is this Becky? Becky, is this you? Can you hear me? Apparently we lost Becky. Good morning. Is this Becky?
Yes, it is. Can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead. You have 3 minutes.
Okay. I live in the Donut Hole near the 4600 block of Livingston, here in the county. My family, husband, and daughter and I have lived here about 17 years and have loved it. I recently sent a letter to Commissioner Peck and Sean Stamp, the prosecutor's office, and our neighborhood recently met with Sheriff Raymond. We've been having some issues with a home in the neighborhood that has attracted some pretty significant criminal activity back, and this all seemed to really escalate at the beginning of the COVID and the stay-at-home orders. So about the end of April, Jonah Glass was tracked down here at the 4600 block of Livingston. We had law enforcement in a truck in the middle of the day, 3:30 in the afternoon. About 5 officers in the back of a truck from a crime unit, specialized crime unit, come flying down into our neighborhood across fields, and we were all locked down in our homes, kind of blindsided us. They got him out of here safely, and then this last month, we had officers here, and we appreciate the law enforcement activity that they're trying to, keep pressure on these folks here and take care of business. But it has, with everyone being home during COVID, we're definitely seeing a lot more than we have before. And these are properties that people live on that are an acre. And a lot of us like to be outdoors, and we don't feel very safe as a neighborhood right now. After they arrested Jonah Glass, they were after another guy, chased him out of the house. He, again, during the day, he ran through a neighborhood fences, almost ran over a neighbor. And after that, we had a detective stop by from the Pasco Street Crime Unit and talk to us about that, and said they would be staking it out. Sheriff Raymond said they're trying to push more resources down into this area. Raymond lives not too far from us, and he's been very helpful. But we, in talking to him as a neighborhood, we're concerned about the amount of resources, that there just aren't enough. And I know Commissioner Peck said he was going to look into that. I know that the prosecutor said that they were working on some things with the house as well. So I just want to be kind of a squeaky wheel right now for our neighborhood. Up until now, we felt very safe here and loved Franklin County, but that has changed dramatically in the last few months. So just want to bring that to your attention. And if we can get more code enforcement, they've got RVs, all kinds of, we've got reports of heroin addicts inside whenever they've gone into this home with warrants, and meth addicts outside. They tell us these people are very dangerous, not to approach them. All kinds of code violations at this place to begin with. It's owned by a woman in Burbank, and these are her 45-year-old kids kind of running roughshod over the neighborhood. So anyway, just want to bring that to your attention. I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much. Okay, commissioners, no other callers at the moment.
All right, we will move on to affordable housing 2060 recommendation. Kyle and Mari, please.
Good morning, all. This is Kyle Sullivan with Human Services. I have Mark Clark here. Came to you today to talk about the recommendations from the steering committee for our affordable housing, or the 2060 fund. And just as a kind of a brief reminder, the 2060 fund is supported by document recording fees. The document recording, every document that's recorded in the county has a fee attached to it. That part of the money goes into our 2163 account for services. This fund helps support capital expenses for affordable housing. And so the steering committee is, we request participation from all of the cities within the county, and then Keith sits on the steering committee for Franklin County. And so we had representation from Pasco, the city of Pasco, and of course Keith was there. The steering committee met a couple of times initially to identify how much of the funding they wanted to release in an RFP, and then again later to listen to the presentations for the people that had applied for the funding. So the fund balance as of June, the end of June, had just over $343,000 in it. The steering committee suggested releasing $190,000. We received 3 proposals, and the steering committee chose one to recommend to the board for support, and that proposal was from Catholic Charities. And I don't know, commissioners, would you like me to discuss the other proposals, the ones that the steering committee didn't suggest funding right now, or just the one that there's the recommendation to?
I would suggest, because you had the committee do this, I would just carry on with what the suggestion was.
Okay, all right. So Catholic Charities had requested a little over $127,000 for primarily the purchase of land. They have, I don't know if the board is familiar with the Pasco Haven project. It's a 50-unit, essentially apartment complex for individuals with disabilities that's low income. And so during the presentation, I think probably everyone is aware there were some concerns with regard to the project that came up at the city council meeting last year, well, several city council meetings, when the city was looking at selling a piece of property. And so again, it was real important that we had the city of Pasco participating and making sure that we didn't end up crossways with them. But the general feeling of the steering committee was that this is the project that Catholic Charities is looking at doing is a $13 million project. It's a $13 million project. It's they use tax credit dollars and dollars from the Housing Trust Fund, and it's a competitive bid process. And so they get additional points if there's local buy-in. One of the questions that the representative from the city of Pasco had is, $127, or I'm sorry, $127,000 when you're talking about a $13 million project is not a huge contribution, but I think the general feeling from the team with Catholic Charities is that it would the number of points that they would receive in their overall score, having local dollars attached to it, could make the difference in whether or not their application for the Housing Trust Fund dollars was approved or not. And so they kind of felt like the $127,000 would likely go towards purchase of land.
Hey, Kyle, this is Keith Johnson. Pardon me for the interruption, but we're getting a little bit of feedback from your microphone. So I'm not sure if your speaker is looping or perhaps it's coming from somewhere else. If you're not speaking, we invite you to mute your device. Please go ahead, Kyle.
Okay. So Keith, I don't know, were you able to hear
Yes.
what I had explained, or do I need to repeat that?
No, we could hear you.
Okay. All right. I think that was the rundown of the presentation that Catholic Charities had. It was again the complex that they're looking at building is a 50-unit complex, and so the steering committee felt like the dollars stretched further supporting this project than the other two, and so what I would be asking is obviously I'd love to answer any questions that the board may have. But essentially, I'd be asking for permission if the board doesn't have any further questions or concerns, asking for permission to allow us to go into contract with Catholic Charities for the $127,000, $413.
Questions, commissioners?
Yeah, Kyle, Commissioner Peck.
Yes.
Maybe you said it and I missed it, but where is Catholic Charities in this project right now? Is this all preliminary, pre-site plan? They're just looking to acquire land for a future project, or where are they in the process?
They're in the beginning stages, and so what they ended up doing is the come November is when their application is due for the Housing Trust Fund dollars, and so essentially they would we would have they indicated that they felt like providing everything went well with their application was approved with the Housing Trust Fund dollars, that they would be looking at purchasing property hopefully at the beginning of the year, and although I think they've got several sites identified that were potential, again I think they wanted to wait until they were able to turn in their application and get scored and make sure they had support from the Housing Trust Fund, and then they would go after the tax credit dollars also.
So what happens if they submit their application, for whatever reason they're not funded for the project? What happens to the 127?
It would just stay in the fund, and likely we would ask them to reapply next year if they were interested.
So those funds would be tied up. They wouldn't be able to make use of them somewhere else. They'd be tied up for a year or perhaps multiple years during applications.
No, I think that the application process is relatively quick. I think they know within a couple of months, and so if their application.
I'm sorry, I thought I heard you say that if their application wasn't approved, that the funds would stay in the account for them until they applied the following year, which is.
No, it wouldn't be specific to them. If this is supporting this project, if this project isn't, if they're not able to move forward with this project, there wouldn't be any obligation that those funds remain there. What we would tell them is that they can certainly reapply at the next go around. Of course, all of these dollars are reimbursement, so it wouldn't be like we would be handing dollars out to them that they would have to return. If their application is denied, then we wouldn't go into contract with them, and they would and we would just reallocate those dollars
Okay.
next go around.
They're reimbursement dollars, and if we approve this, they can use it for their application. If the application doesn't go through, then the dollars are released, and others could make use of them potentially. And if they wanted to reapply for this project again in the future, they could simply come back to us and ask for support.
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
Kyle, this is Commissioner Didier. You said they had a couple of sites located. Do you know where those sites are at? And is one of them the site that they previously found a lot of people showing up at the city council to object to?
They didn't identify which sites they were looking at, although I do know that the site that they had previously looked at is not in for consideration. They heard what the community had, and I think they learned some things about maybe educating the community a little bit better as to what it would look like, what a facility like this would look like. So I think I think again there were lessons learned at the last with the problems that came up with the city council.
Okay, the last go around, yeah. I would hope that they would engage with the communities prior to make sure that they would be in acceptance of. So it would be beneficial to get out in front of this and talk to the community before they try to, push it through without interaction from the community. I think the community's got to be included.
Yeah, I would agree, and I think they would agree with that too. I think they made an effort previously, but I think they realized that maybe that effort wasn't significant enough because there was a lot of unknown and uncertainty from the people that presented at the city council meeting opposed to it, and they felt like with some education that it would have some of those concerns would have been addressed. And so I think they learned a lot from the last go around and recognized that they need to do a little bit better job reaching out to the community, talking to the community members, and I think they want to be good partners with the community. Sometimes you learn from past experiences and know how to better handle moving forward. I think they did that.
Okay, thank you.
Any further comments, questions? Kyle, you just looking for a consensus to carry forward?
Yes, please.
I can support the recommendation of the committee. Commissioners?
I will support the committee recommendation.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, I had my mute on.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm good with it. I support.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen.
Kyle.
Okay, I appreciate the time. Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Commissioner, I do have one public caller on the phone.
All right.
Good morning. Is this Michelle? Is it?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, please go ahead. You have up to 3 minutes.
Just speaking to this proposal, I know that as the citizens of this county and city were up in arms about this project, and I think that requires further exploration and hearing from the public. And it sounds like the funds, once they're given, they're gone. So I would ask that the commissioners set this aside and reconsider and give it more time. It sounds like we have it. Since November and January are the mile markers on this project. But I do think that because of COVID, other proposals have been delayed and other considerations. So I would ask the commissioners to consider delaying the decision on this.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else, Keith?
No other callers at this time, Commissioner.
Okay, we will move on to office business and pay the bills, please.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, we have two fiscal notes this morning. The first is salary clearing and emergency management payroll in the total amount of $985,288.77. And note that this has been reviewed and signed off by two representatives out of the auditor's office. We'll move for approval.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And Mr. Chairman, second fiscal item this morning is fund expenditures in the total amount of $260,234.54. Note that this has been signed by two members of the auditor's office, and I understand that county administrator has signed between the time when the read aheads were put out and in the meeting. So that signature should be on there as well, and move for approval of those expenditures as well.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. That will take us on to consent agenda. We have 8 items on the consent agenda this morning.
So, Mr. Chairman, I don't know if anyone wishes to pull any items for separate consideration, so I'd like to offer that momentary pause in case anybody does, and if not, then I'll move for approval of consent as presented with discussion.
I second.
Okay, did I understand you wanted discussion?
Just making sure the door is open for anyone who had any concerns or wanted to discuss any of these items. I'm fine.
All right. With that, move for approval of resolutions 1 through 8. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that will take us on to, unless there's a phone call.
Actually, there is a phone call, Mr. Chairman. We
Okay.
did. Mr. Bareilles?
Yes, this is Juan.
Good morning. How are you?
Good.
Good. You have about 3 minutes to address the commissioners.
Okay. Again, I called in 2 weeks ago. I'm here. I live part-time in Pasco. I'm a college student. I'm working on a degree in journalism, specifically investigative journalism. My approved project is to investigate the Franklin County Commissioner's election. I was approved not too long ago for this. We have gone to specifically dwell on Commissioner Peck only because he has been there for a number of years. I believe 12 years. We have rules in our process. All points of records are confirmed by at least 2 independent individuals. Published articles will be considered, including all newspapers, commissioner meeting minutes, Facebook and other electronic media. Because there was so much information, my classmates are helping.
Pardon the interruption, one. Someone's ringtone is on.
Hello?
Yeah, you're on, Juan. Somebody's device is gone on hold.
Okay. I still hear music.
Somebody stepped away from their desk and they
Hello?
put us on hold. Yes, Juan.
Hello?
Juan, go ahead.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
I hear you, but I hear music.
Yeah, it's on the other line. There's, somebody's device has gone on to, they put us on a, music line. Must have stepped away from their desk. I don't have the ability to control their device.
Should I call back? Hello?
Yes,
Should I call back?
no, please go ahead.
Okay, anyway, the most recent thing that we have, run across is, Commissioner Peck. Recently, there was a magazine, West Pasco Living, that featured Commissioner Peck in a most favorable way. This doesn't seem too bad on the onset, but the timing of it was very favorable. It was just distributed a week before the ballots came out. This seems suspect. The other thing was, I read across, was the Tri-City Tea Party. Apparently, according to the governing body, they also supported Commissioner Peck. What was found was this party, Tea Party, had not been in existence for 6 years. So we are following up with this. This seems to be inappropriate. The bottom line here is these two articles distributed to the voters in Franklin County favored Commissioner Peck. It doesn't seem ethical. But anyway, looking at the vote totals, there were only 74 votes that separated Commissioner Peck and Matt Deaton, and only 34 votes between Kim Libren and Matt Deaton. It seems that the timing is everything of these two distributions of these favorable articles for Commissioner Peck is very subject. At least in Arizona, this would be called to the Ethics Committee. There are other items. I will say that Commissioner Peck comes across as a statesman and very well-spoken verbally. I guess that's about 3 minutes. This is Juan. Thank you.
Thank you, Juan. Yeah, no other callers on the phone at this time.
All right, so it's your turn then. Keith, please.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Commissioners, for your consideration this morning, could I ask everyone who's on the line to mute their device and don't place this on hold? If you place this on hold, some of your phone systems go to a music, and we hear that over the intercom. So I'd ask your patience in helping us out that way. Thank you. Before you and for our consideration today is a interlocal agreement with Benton County regarding the use of some CARES Act dollars for a joint effort that's affecting the Tri-Cities. As you know, both counties have been working through the Benton Franklin Health District to attempt to make sure that people are aware of the governor's orders regarding wearing masks and social distancing and washing hands and those kinds of things. While at the same time, the numbers of COVID cases in Franklin County have not met our expectations and continue to have gone up. And so there has been a great deal of support and effort by the municipal leaders in the Tri-Cities region. The city's managers, mayors, and county administrators have been meeting to discuss what we can do to kind of move us to the next phase, and what we can do to encourage citizens in the county to be educated on what they need to do to help us move to the next phase. And so a proposal has been submitted through Visit Tri-Cities to put together a public education campaign to help people understand what they can do to make our location safer and allow businesses to open. The proposal that was first submitted by Visit Tri-Cities included both what they call an in-market campaign, which is basically a campaign limited to the Tri-Cities area, and then they had an out-of-market campaign, which was going to extend to locations within 300 miles of the Tri-Cities area. When we looked at this, we recognized that the out-of-market campaign was probably a little too substantial in terms of the cost, and perhaps maybe not as effective as what we would hope. And so we're kind of limited to the in-market campaign, which means that this would be a multimedia approach to educating the public and encouraging them to practice good social distancing and hygiene to make sure that we're doing what's asked to lower our infection rates. I have met with Benton County, and we have worked the terms of this interlocal agreement. We recognize that people are trying to improve and reduce the number of COVID cases. But so far, our efforts, even though we have seen a dramatic increase in masking and people wearing those in public, we've yet to see a dramatic decline in the number of cases that have been transmitted. So this would be a multi-pronged approach in both English and Spanish across the area. And Benton County has asked Franklin County to share in the cost of putting this campaign together. They have offered to pay 75% of the costs and have asked Franklin County to participate in 25% of those costs. Right now, I'm estimating that to be right around 100,000, maybe a little bit more, but it does not go to government. I know that's been a question. That funds, even though it flows through Visit Tri-Cities, is actually going to small businesses in the area who sell these services and put together the advertising campaign to make this possible. Some of you have already participated in the campaign that was put together to encourage people to wear masks. A number of local leaders and the word that comes to mind is celebrities. It was General Mattis. I hate to call him a celebrity. He deserves much more respect than being called a celebrity, but locally known people who have encouraged members of our community to follow the masking order. And as I said, some of you participated in that video and public service announcement that was put together. So I'm asking for your consideration of this local agreement with Benton County so that we can share in the costs. It requires both county administrators to get approval from their boards and then work out the details of the contract. We didn't feel like it was necessary for the boards of commissioners to approve each individual contract, but with this service level or this interlocal agreement in place, we can work between us with our respective boards to put this together. I'm happy to answer questions that you may have. I recognize that there is a great desire and importance in maximizing the number of our CARES Act dollars that do go into the hands of private business. This in some sense does that, but I also recognize the sensitivity of how and where we spend our CARES Act dollars. So with that, as a brief overview, perhaps I can respond to questions that you may have.
Questions, commissioners?
Yes, Keith, this is Commissioner Didier.
Yes, sir.
You got it down here approximately 100,000 of CARES Act funding. Is that 25% of this total?
Yes.
So we're talking about a $400,000 messaging.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And if I look on the second page of this, it says that so far Focal Point Marketing, 18,300, and Roland Cap Productions at 1,272. So far we've only spent 19,600 approximately.
Yes, that is the creation of the masking video, I believe, was those two amounts. So that money's already been spent. And we probably, in good faith, owe at least our portion of those expenses.
So I watched the video from that production, and I don't understand how anybody doesn't know about COVID by now, and the fact that wash your hands, social distance, wear a mask. It's out there everywhere. We're not gonna change anybody's mind now this late in the game with more messaging. I say that this money was in the CARES Act was put forth and signed by our president to help the businesses that are suffering. And I would like to see this money go to businesses to stay alive so that we can keep our tax base intact when we get through it. Because if we keep losing businesses like we are, our tax base is going to go the opposite direction. So I'm not in favor of this at all.
Commissioner Beck?
Well, there's a healthy part of what Commissioner Didier just said that I have to agree with. I do agree with. I don't have to. I do agree with. I have some other concerns. We've just given a rather massive chunk of CARES Act funds to the health district that has the primary responsibility for reaching out and communicating with our constituents and our citizens about these issues, coronavirus and proper healthcare procedures. It seems to me that if anybody is going to be undertaking this kind of an effort, it ought to be coming from the people who have the responsibility, their professional credentials, and are essentially on point as the leaders in this effort for the community. To run these additional funds through a third party that's going to distribute them to local small business, I'm presuming that the Visitors Bureau would need to take a portion of those funds to pay their staffing costs to do this work. So I'm wondering why, if we were to do this, why it wouldn't be done directly out of the health district. It would be, I think, more cost effective to the same end. So if we were going to do it, it ought to be done through the health district. I don't see why this parallel effort. And then the second question is it even necessary to direct these additional funds? And my thinking at this point is, after having just given the health district a large chunk of CARES Act funds, that's where the funding ought to come from. And if we get down the road a ways and they need additional funds and they want to come back and make the case for that, then we can have that discussion then. But to do an additional $400K now through a parallel effort, to me seems inconsistent with the singularity of voice from the health district to our health professionals. So I see some merit in it, but I see some real issues with the process, and I think I have to say at this point that it doesn't meet the threshold for me. I don't think I can support it right now.
If I may, Commissioner Cook, when we a few weeks ago began discussing the kind of the allocation of CARES Act funding, we weren't certain, or still lacked some certainty as to how much money we would be required for joint Benton County costs and money going to the health district. Since that time, I've received some information from the health district and had some discussions with Benton County to recognize that what we thought would probably be $1 million going to Benton Franklin Health District right now is at about $780,000. So we've managed to shave off a couple $100,000 from that health district budget. And so if the preference of the board is to run this through the health district, that can be done without adding additional allocation of our CARES Act funding from our preliminary number. If that makes sense, it could be included in that amount. We're looking at roughly $120,000 of Franklin County money towards this effort, and we've managed to save about $220,000 from our original estimate. So that still puts around $100,000 that would be available for additional grants to small businesses. I just want, in terms of the numbers, I wanted you to understand that.
Yeah. Keith, this is Commissioner Peck. I appreciate the clarification. I still contend that the health district needs to be the point, and I appreciate you acknowledging that as a possibility. Running it through them, I think, reduces overheads and puts more money into the effort. And hearing what you just said about the dollar amounts being significantly less than the $1 million that we had authorized, I would say that the gap between those two is where these funds ought to come from, and it ought to be handled by the health district. Just as I wouldn't want somebody in parallel running a communications campaign speaking for Franklin County. I don't know that the Visitors Bureau, as wonderful as they are and as productive as they are and all the good things they do, still they're not the Benton Franklin Health District who is charged with this effort. If the health district wants to contract with someone to do this work, they can do it directly with those small businesses that you've already highlighted. So that's my position, is that I could support it if it is run through the health district, and I don't see the need for the counties to execute interlocal or
Yeah, I totally have to agree with both the commissioners. We talked a little earlier this morning about this, and I was up in the air, but the more we speak of, the health district is probably the place to go. I just feel that I have to totally agree with Commissioner Didier also that it has been a catch point for months already as far as wearing a mask and social distancing. So because of being said that there is some revenue to be saved in the overall $1 million that we had anticipated originally, and is what the health district budget came up with early on, I could support putting that revenue into the health district, and hopefully they can reach the people we need to be reached.
Okay, I think I have information I need, and I'll go back to Benton County and let them know that, and we'll perhaps begin some discussions with the health district on their desire or interest in pursuing it from that direction. I do have one caller on the line, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning, is this Jeffrey?
Why, yes, this is. Hello, Keith, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you. You have 3 minutes to address the board. Please go ahead.
Absolutely. Well, I was at your opposition party if I didn't call in today because it's 1 week since the primary election. And I first want to congratulate Franklin County. We are nearly at 50% voter turnout. That is historic and that is amazing for a primary. And I think that's something we should all celebrate. The second thing I wanted to do, and I waited until the vote totals were in, is congratulate Commissioner Peck on making it into the general election. I look forward to that. And I wanted to take a moment to thank Commissioner Cook, the chair of the commission, because the primary really drives home the point that this will be his last term. And I think that Commissioner Cook has done a lot of great things for our community and for our county. And while I might not always agree with him politically, there is no doubt in my mind that he's a genuinely wonderful person who works really hard. And I just wanted to call in and just take a moment to recognize that. And I wanted to say thank you very much, Commissioner Cook, for everything that you've done, everything that you continue to do. And our commission will be a very different place without you, but thank you for everything. And that's really all I got for you today. I figure I got to sprinkle some of those nice calls in too. But I hope everyone's doing well and bless you all.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Jeffrey.
Jeffrey.
No other callers at this time, Commissioner.
Okay. Well, that actually brings us, as it says, public comment, but that's any time during the meeting. That is an open phone call. So, commissioners, if anything else for the good of the board today?
Nothing here, Commissioner.
Nothing here, Chairman.
All right. With that, anything else, Keith or Karen?
I don't believe so. I think we're finished.
All right. With that, we are adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you.